This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Getting real about artificial intelligence. Welcome back to another edition of Real Answers, a regular Wednesday feature during the Family Life News Report, where we discuss the issues that matter to families with licensed mental health counselor Christopher Anderson. Welcome back, Chris.
Good to be back, Mark.
Now, that is you, right? I'm not talking to an AI clone. We have to do real answers with real people here.
That's right. I think we need to come up with like a passcode or something to make sure I'm a real person.
Maybe.
But I can assure you I am very much real.
All right, that's good to know. Now, we joke, but the once clear lines between what is real and what is AI, artificial intelligence, just seem to be getting blurrier by the day, and the need to counter the negatives of AI with some natural intelligence, if you will, has never been more important, right?
Absolutely. And I think this is where, as if pastors need even more on their plates, but we'll expand that out to say pastors and church leaders really come into play. This area, this artificial intelligence way of communicating, it's going to go way beyond transforming our lives beyond than what the internet did. And if you can think about that, just how much our lives changed when the internet really became in frequent use back in the mid-90s, early 90s, really. This has huge implications. But sadly, I think it's going to have very negative implications once again on our social and spiritual connectedness.
How do those pastors and other leaders gird themselves first to cope with all of this?
First of all, I think they need to know that this is not gradual. There is more AI involvement in all of our communications and things that we're seeing than what we're aware of. Getting used to the internet and getting people to have their own computers in their homes was somewhat gradual. This has gone way beyond the scope of a gradual introduction.
Yeah,
and it's
fast,
unbelievable how fast AI is really taking over our communications and taking over the way things are processed through our computers. You need to educate yourself on what this is all about. Now, a lot of people are thinking that's just too scary and evil. I'm not going to have anything to do with it. Well, the problem is if that's the standpoint you're taking and you're not educating yourself on what this is, you're going to be potentially falling victim to increasingly skillful scammers who are going to use it to figure out ways of getting into your bank accounts and getting you to send money and that type of thing.
Yeah, you can't sit this thing out. There's no running and hiding from AI. Right. It's here and it's just going to ever expand, it seems.
And like you said, if you're a pastor or a church leader, you do need to familiarize yourself on what AI is and also understand that this is going to be taking jobs away from folks that we never thought would actually be in danger of losing their jobs. And I think that's going to be really where the lack of connectedness to people in person, once again, is going to have negative impacts on our social health and our mental health and our spiritual health. And we have to understand and be ready for it. And as parents, we need to be willing to know, again, how is this infiltrating our schools? How is this infiltrating how our children are learning? Because we need to be aware of that. Because as safety precautions, just so that we're well aware of what is going into the minds of our children. Again, pastors, we already know that there's a lot of disconnectedness out there. There's a lot of folks who are not connecting personally, in person, face to face with people. You know, there's an increasing trend. And of course, this got really ramped up during the pandemic where people were staying home, watching services online. And while that might be a good temporary remedy, like let's say you have the flu or, you know, COVID's still floating around out there. If you're sick and can't get to church in person for a week, but my goodness, folks, do not use online church attendance as a substitute for the real thing. It's so vitally important that we are connecting, and it's scriptural, okay? It is scriptural. Don't forsake the gathering of believers. You need to get together with real people. It is so much healthier on so many different levels to interact in person with folks. And again, AI, what's that going to do? Like I said, it's taking jobs. It's reducing even further our contact with people, real people in real time, face to face, or even on the phone. There are programs now where you can be talking on the phone and actually not talking to a real person, and you're not aware of it.
Right.
That is happening now. But we shouldn't be scared about this because who's ultimately in control? It's God, and we know that.
Exactly. Good point. You're listening to Real Answers. I'm Mark Webster, along with licensed mental health counselor Christopher Anderson, talking about dealing with the growing impact of AI, artificial intelligence. And yeah, you touched on some of this. I mean, we've seen just frightening things already happening with parents who are maybe ignorant of just how powerful and widespread this is, and their kids going online and getting life advice from artificial intelligence.
Yeah. Absolutely. It is scary. And, we are seeing some good trends developing as well. We're seeing some nations, and I really hope it happens here, that are starting to put blocks in place for minors under the age of 18 from being able to easily or even legally access social media platforms. And of course, while certain safeguards can be implemented at a state or a federal level, parents, it's ultimately up to you to understand and know where your children are, develop your relationships with your children at a young age, and then keep developing those relationships. It's a whole lot harder once they become teenagers to develop a strong, healthy relationship with your children. Start when they're young, communicate, talk about the difficult topics so that later on, when you have to rein them in a little bit, you might get some resistance, but at the same time, you're not going to have as much resistance when you start reining in a 6 or 7-year-old versus a 16 or 17-year-old. I mean, it's a whole different ballgame. Educating yourself on what AI is and how it's going to be used and how it's already being used right now is important. It's important for you to just have an idea of where the trends are. There are some very good uses for it, too. For example, I had to develop a legal form the other day. I used an AI platform that spit out the legal form that I needed, exactly tailored to the circumstances that I needed it for, all in compliance with state law. And I couldn't believe it. So if you want to think about some people maybe losing at least some income due to AI, might be those in the legal professions.
It is a powerful tool, and no doubt the genie is out of the bottle permanently. It's simply a matter of educating yourselves. And I guess final question then, what do you see as the best way to go about that? Because it just can be so intimidating, especially if you're not technically oriented.
It absolutely can. And maybe fighting fire with fire is one way to go about doing that. Getting onto an AI platform and then typing into the search bar, what's the best way for me to go about understanding AI? And actually letting AI teach you about itself is actually not a bad way of doing it. But there are organizations out there, you can search on YouTube or see videos helping you to understand what AI is. But again, the biggest thing is let's not let it drive fear, because the more that we do know about this phenomenon, the less likely we are to react with fear. Don't let it drive high levels of fear. Connect with other folks. I mean, Mark, how many times have people heard me say that over the course of the years of me doing Real Answers here, where connecting face-to-face is vital. Keep those connections in person. Limit your own online time. Limit your own technology use. Get out and go for a walk at lunchtime with coworkers, or attend those church small groups. Make sure you're a regular attendee at a Bible-believing church on Sundays, and just don't let those connections slide. Educating yourself and staying connected, those are the best ways you can right there.
Good advice right there. Just got to have that human touch more so than ever. You've been listening to Real Answers, a Wednesday feature of the Family Life Noon Report, where we discuss the issues important to families with licensed mental health counselor Christopher Anderson. Thanks again, Real Chris.
My pleasure, Mark.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.